The St. Charles County Veterans Museum is a 501c3 nonprofit business. The museum would not exist without the donations of our generous community. Your donations ensure the museum continues to share and preserve the stories of our veterans. Would you like to be part of something special? To donate, visit sccvetsmuseum.org and click on Donate. The Dog Tag Podcast may at times cover sensitive topics, including, but not limited to, suicide, abuse, violence, severe mental illness, sex, drugs, and alcohol addiction. You are advised to refrain from watching or listening to the Dog Tag Podcast if you are likely to be offended or adversely impacted by any of these topics. Neither the company, host, director, or guests shall at any time be liable for the content covered, causing offense, distress, or other reaction. The information, opinions, and recommendations presented in this podcast are for general information only. The primary purpose of the Dog Tag Podcast is to educate. The views, information, or opinions expressed on the Dog Tag Podcast are solely the views of the individuals or guests involved and by no means represent absolute facts. The Dog Tag does not accept responsibility for their views or comments.
Ladies and gentlemen, wonderful people of Earth, welcome back to the Dog Tag Podcast. With me, Dominic Masters, my co-host, the man, the myth, the legend, the one behind everything making this podcast possible, Mr. Jason Galvin. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great.
All right, good to see you again. How was work today?
Perfect.
Staying out of the heat?
Trying.
Dude, I think they said the heat index was 104 today.
That's a hot one, man.
Ridiculous on the Mississippi River, concrete and steel. It's a hot one here in St. Louis, folks. We are coming to you live from the studio at the St. Charles County Veterans Museum. Hey, listen, thanks for tuning in and sticking with us. We're going to have some more fun today. We've got a great guest. Another thing I haven't mentioned is this museum. If you're local or just maybe passing through town, Google St. Charles County Veterans Museum. You got to come by here and check this place out. It was put together by these wonderful volunteers that just want to preserve memories and stories of the great men and women of this country that have given us all the freedom to sit here and talk to you great people. So come by, check it out. We're on Facebook. Give us a shout. Jason, today we have a special guest. If you did happen to tune into part 2 of my personal story, you'd heard this guy's name. He is a brother of mine, a close friend now, but he started off as a manager of mine and a mentor. When I was doing that, when I got into that program down at the Ray Building downtown here, that ended up getting me the job with the Corps of Engineers, Tim Taylor, my buddy, he was my manager there. He was the guy in the last podcast that I went up and asked, what should we wear and all that good stuff. So I've known him since 2016. Like I said, he was my manager then, but he's become a great friend of mine now, a brother, and really happy to have him here. He's got a great story that I think you guys are going to really enjoy. This thing could go on for weeks if we allowed it to, but so maybe, we'll see what happens in the future. I'm going to introduce you to my buddy, my brother, Tim Taylor. Thanks for being here, brother. Thanks for taking time away from the family to come do this for us. Let's kick it off, have some fun. How you doing, man?
Dom, I'm doing great. Couldn't think of a better place to be tonight than hanging out with you and just trading stories, starting over where we began.
Yeah, dude.
We started telling my story out at Scott Air Force Base. I remember I got asked to come out there and talk.
Yeah,
a few times. You were out there, and you came up and talked to me. And ever since then, I was like, man, this guy, he's got something in him. I know he's going places. He just needed people in his life that were going to make sure that happened, and he got the right people in his life, and it made it happen, and Dom took control of his own life. I'm sure I didn't listen to part 2, but I already know it's amazing. Dom's story is amazing. He's just a fantastic human being. I wouldn't rather be talking to anybody else today than you, brother.
Well, it's on Spotify. Check us out after we leave here.
Yeah, no.
Jason just got it all edited. It sounds great. I hope everybody enjoys it. Do you remember when I came up and asked you the question about what should I wear?
Oh, yeah.
Because I told the story on the last podcast, and you had a look. You looked at me kind of like, nobody else is asking me shit like that, you know?
Yeah.
And maybe it's weird about me. It's that old thing where like dress for the job you want, not the job you have.
Yeah.
He had khakis and a polo, whatever. He had some slacks and a polo on, you know? So I like, to me, I'm working at the federal building. I got this opportunity. So I wanted to look the part. And I remember that look you gave me was like, fuck is he? But it made a lot of sense because when we showed up, I was kind of the only one that was dressed. So you gave me great advice, dude.
Yeah. Well, and the thing about you were a sponge. I mean, anything I said, you just took like, I don't know why you trusted me. I have no clue. I should have questioned your judgment then when you trusted me as much as you did and you asked me the questions you were, but man, you took it and ran. And I do remember you telling me like, what should I wear? What should I do? And it was different for you. You had worked, in different jobs, being in the Marine Corps and, working at Home Depot and stuff like that. And now you're going to work in a professional world. It's a different world. It was a shock to me.
Yeah.
And, I wasn't doing it that long, so I had imposter syndrome a little bit, telling people what they're doing with their life. And they're like, why should I listen to you? And I'm like, I don't know, because they pay me for you to listen to me. I don't know. I don't know why you should listen to me. I'll try to give you a reason, though. Dude. That was the one thing. I tried to give you a reason to listen to me. And I do remember, I want to say this, because this was the one thing that stood out to me, was when that Corps of Engineers recruiter came up. Mm. I told everybody in that room before that person walked in there, I said, man, if this person walks out and you don't talk to him, you're an idiot. Y'all are an idiot and you don't want a job.
Yeah.
And that person walked in, talked to everybody, and went to walk out, and one person went to talk to her.
Yeah.
One person who works there now.
Well, she came up this person came up the one time and was talking to us, all of us.
Yeah. I
then she came in I don't know if you remember, she came in the lab the one day and you were having a conversation with her over by the door. Remember how it was like over to the side and nobody was around?
Yeah.
And you go, hey, Dom, get the fuck over here. And I'm like, that's professional. But by that time we knew we could bullshit with each other, and I came over and you were like, hey, what do you think about being a lock and dam operator for the Corps of Engineers? Tim, I'm telling you, I grew up on that river. I grew up on the Mississippi partying, but I was south of the lock and dam. So I was like, oh, dude, it sounds great, because you had told me a few times, like, get in with the Corps, job secure, all that shit. So
foot in the door.
Yeah. And it was just so like that shot in the dark that he took, he vouched for me in a big way. He only knew me for about 5 months and he vouched for me in a big way, but I was like, not gonna drop the ball on this one. Again, I was like 35, so it was not last resort, but like I needed this one big,
I can tell it impacted you really well, man.
Yeah.
And you always need someone to advocate for you, someone in your corner, man.
Sure.
To make even the smallest dreams come true, but big ones like getting a career.
Yeah.
And having something you can count on for your family is huge, especially. One of the biggest things that I find in veterans is they have a hard time with that transition, man, from whatever they were doing in the service, no matter how long they've been out of the service, to making that turn to the professional world, to the civilian world,
Right. Well, yourself as a manager, Tim as a manager, if a person is willing to put the work in, like you're willing to step up for them and stuff, but each person's going to either prove it or not. So,
absolutely.
So it's kind of up to the individual, and I put myself in a position where it's like they're going to recognize me. They're going to know who I am, show up on time, all this stuff. People, if you're trying to make your way back into the world, punctuality and asking a manager how to dress, whatever, all that shit can be helpful. So again, man, thanks. You're going to tell me to shut, but you have, I remember when I got the interview, I called him and like I was crying. I'm like, dude, you have no idea what you've done for me. He goes, bro, you did this. I talked to a person and you came over and while he gave me that push, he wanted me to know that it was kind of my accomplishment too. And that's just him not wanting to take it off of me. Now that I know him, I know what the fuck he was up to, but it was so important to me, like you said, to have somebody going, dude, you got this,
Absolutely. Well, Dom, why don't you help us walk through Tim's history real quick, and let's find out kind of, where this all started. You mentioned that you wanted to talk a little bit about where he came from, what he did. So why don't you go with that?
Yeah, let's just we like to go back to where you're from. I know where you're from, but let's tell the people where you're from, all that good stuff.
Yeah, so I was born in Granite City, Illinois. Didn't live there very long. Lived there for about 2 months. Moved to Texas for a little bit. Moved back from Texas to Ferguson. Grew up Ferguson, Calverton Park area.
Good area.
Yeah, fantastic area. Great time of year to visit
Yeah.
there. It's nice and hot. Regular kid, not not a lot of money. If you're from that area, you probably don't have a lot of money. And
Yeah.
there's certain people there that do.
Right down the street, bro.
Yeah, but not us. We didn't have any.
Yeah. Moving forward, look, dude, we could go high school.
Yeah.
We can go nuts,
Wherever
but
you want to go.
yeah, what I had my thing that I knew I wanted to be a Marine as a kid. Like, we like to tell that part of the story
Yeah.
too. What was your my junior year? What was your kind of thing that pushed you into Army life?
So it was really strange. I remember, I guess it would have been 2000, like the beginning of that school year. No, maybe beginning of 2001 school year, before 9/11. I remember this girl talking to me in class, and I can't for the life of me remember her name. I don't even remember if I knew who she was back then. And she looked at me and she goes, "Dude, you're going in the military." And I'm like, "No way. You lost your mind. I don't even like school telling me what to do. You think I'm going to let the military tell me what to do?"
Great.
Yeah. My dad beats me. I'm not going to let them beat me.
Right.
Like, get out of
Volunteer?
here. I'm signing up to get beat up and yelled at. Get out of here. I do that for free at home.
Yeah.
No way that's going to happen. Well, then I remember, this one morning I was sitting in our homeroom, which was in the gym, and everybody go running over to the weight room because there was a TV in there. And I'm just sitting there like, I don't care what's going on in the world, bro.
Yeah.
I'm a tough kid. I'm a bad boy.
Yeah.
I don't care. I don't care about anything. You know that feeling?
Yeah.
You're a rebel in high school.
I do.
And, people come out and they're like, planes crashing the Twin Towers. Buddy, I'm not going to lie to you. I was an idiot. I was so uneducated. I was like, what the fuck are the Twin Towers?
Dude, I'm with you.
Okay, good. Okay.
What's New York City?
Yeah, New York City. Where's that at on a map? I don't know.
Yeah.
I go in there and I watch the video and I'm blown away, that this is happening. I'm like, man, what the fuck would drive people to do this?
Yeah.
Like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden I got a reason to start caring about geopolitics, and I got to start caring about other things that I never worried about, because I never worried about going to school or, going out to any business and no plane crashing. And I mean, I never worried about getting on a plane because I never been on one at that point in time,
Yeah.
Like, and now I got to worry about getting on a plane. They're going to crash into buildings. No way. I'm not getting on a plane now.
Yeah.
So I was freaking out that day. Well, my mom pulls me out of school, like, right after it happened. It had to be the next class. I remember I was in history class. Can't remember what time it was or anything. But my mom took me out of school, and, she's freaking out. The world's ending. And that's kind of the mindset everybody has. The world's ending. And I go hang out with a friend, and he invites another friend over. And this guy's in the National Guard. Now we're like, we're going to get some secrets.
Yeah.
Because I'm
The squirrels.
Yeah, because September 2001, I just turned 16. I'm like, I'm going to get squirrels.
Yeah.
I'm going to get these secret squirrels. They're going to tell me all the information. So we're hanging out with this guy, and I'm like, man, what the heck is going on? And he's like, dude, I don't know. I'm running to Canada. I'm like, what'd you just say? And he's like, I'm not doing this. I'm not going to war. And I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? Have you not watched the news? Have you not seen, like, thousands of people are dead now? Like, you're going to run away? Mm-hmm. And he goes, well, if you think you can do better, do it. And Dom, I know you know me well enough. If I get challenged, damn it, I'll take that challenge.
I'd rather fail.
Yeah, I'd rather.
And try.
Yeah. So, I had to wait till I turned 17. I turned 17 in August of 2002. I went and met with a Marine Corps recruiter. Because the whole time I'm thinking, I'm like, man, I'm coming. Like, there's going to be hell to pay. Like, we're going to war, and you see it on TV. This is 2001, 2002. It was madness. You watch the TV. It's, Afghanistan. It's Iraq. There's weapons of mass destruction. People are trying to kill us everywhere. And, it's kind of the hysteria the news likes to create. And when you're 16, 17-year-old, it's really easy to get caught up in that.
Dude, I could get influenced by, like, a bird.
Yeah, I mean, and hell, Burger King did that. Burger King was like freedom fries because they're not France.
Yeah.
Like, everybody was so patriotic and so
it was beautiful,
and
wasn't it?
It was a beautiful time, and I just wanted to make a difference.
Yeah.
And I remembered that challenge, and I remembered I couldn't imagine if I was the mother or father or daughter or son.
Right.
And I lost somebody in 9/11, and I turned and looked at him, and I was like, what is your response going to be? I'm going to run to Canada.
Rough, dude.
Dude, that's rough.
Rough, dude.
That's rough.
Yeah.
if that mom or son or father, daughter, whatever turns to me and they're like, what's your response be? I'm gonna like, whatever it needs to be to get the job done.
Yeah, I'm not sure,
but tell you, but whatever it needs to get the job done,
yeah,
I'm willing to do it.
Yeah, this can't happen again.
Yeah, and I think that we forget that that's kind of the way the country was then. Everybody, not just a bunch of us. It was just a bunch of us that did it.
Yeah.
A bunch of people talked about it. I mean, hell, I was at the carnival the other day, and some guy's like, man, I almost joined. It's not that I wouldn't have because I wanted to fight, but I almost joined. And it's like, yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, I get it. You were patriotic, but you didn't have the drive to do it. That's okay. And that's okay. Just don't tell me you almost joined, and don't tell me you were willing to fight if you didn't join.
Sure.
You weren't that willing to fight. Because I got a huge $22,000 the year I served in Iraq. I was low,
rich, dude,
just rich, just
desert
fighting
rich.
Wars and just rich as could be.
Yeah. So, all right, what was your MOS in the Army?
So I want to backtrack because I did say I met with a Marine recruiter.
Oh
first.
Yeah.
And you being a Marine,
they
I got
told
a lot
you
of
to
Marine.
leave. They said, get the fuck out of here. You're not one of us.
No, they didn't. The Marine recruiter goes, you ready to die for your country? And I was like, nah, man, that sounds like a bad strategy.
Yeah, I want to fight for it, but why do you got to say it like that?
Like, how does that win wars? Like, you're going to die for your country now? Those people already did that.
Right.
9/11 already happened.
Yeah.
I'm not dying for anything.
Yeah,
I'm going to get revenge.
Killing. Yeah.
So that was kind of the way I looked at it. And then I was playing hockey with an Air Force recruiter, and he's like, all the Marines in the Army are going to do is give you a gun and a helmet and throw you on a beach. And I'm like, man, I've never been to the beach. It sounds amazing.
Right.
So he was out. And then next comes Army. Well, I had a friend talking to the Army recruiter. She'd sent him over to me. And he goes, do you like pussy? And I'm a baby boy. Like, I know I shouldn't probably said that on here because my kids are going to listen to this one day. And I'm sorry, kids. Yeah, but it's true. And I go, yeah, I do. And he goes, buddy, with that lily white baby face in that uniform, you are going to do so good.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just want to go to the beach. And he's like, Fort Stewart, Georgia's right next to Tybee Island. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck Tybee Island is, but let's go.
Yeah.
So, I was easily recruited. All it didn't take money or college. I guess all it took was women,
Yeah. Yeah. It was a uniform for me.
Yeah. And I love my wife. I was with my wife shortly after and been with her ever since. So It's not like
you are in deep shit, sir.
Yeah, it's not like I did a lot of women chasing, but I love you all.
Tara is going to have that ass.
I love you, Tara. But yeah, that's all it took, I guess. I was a cheap recruit.
But that response is pretty honest.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
I don't want to come in here and lie. I got to be.
Don't sugarcoat it.
Yeah,
don't sugarcoat it. Yeah.
It didn't get me to sign, but it was for sure like number 2 when I got home. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You put the dress blues on, any uniform, forget it, dude. So I'm with you.
UPS guys are out there showing their thighs off. Like,
yeah, dude.
Check it out, dude. The moms love it. Like
the Browns are in, bro. The Browns are in.
Turn into desert camis for the Browns.
So you sign up. You're at I know in the Marine Corps, for grunts, you have to barely pass the ASVAB. And then so what was your MOS and why were you attracted to that particular job?
Yeah, so when I signed up, when I met with the Army, I'm like, Army Ranger. That's what I want to be.
For sure.
I watched Black Hawk Down. Now I'm an expert,
Fast roping, bitch.
It was one of those deals. Like, I watched Black Hawk Down, and I loved Army Rangers and kind of looked into them after that. And
hell yeah.
So I was like, okay, well, I definitely want to go Special Forces. All I really wanted to do was be a sniper.
Yeah.
That's really all I wanted.
Yeah.
But I felt like Army Rangers was the path.
Mm.
But recruiters are like, look, man, this is, and you got to think, it was August 2002. He's like, I can get you an infantry school in July 2004, but I can get you an artillery school in July 2003.
Yeah.
And I'm like, done. So I ended up being a 13 Bravo, cannon crew member, pull a string, go boom.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Gun bunny, king of battle, whatever you want to call us.
Bring
Didn't really do any of it.
Send it.
Yep.
So, dude, there's a lot. We can go through boot camp story. The reason I have Tim here, is it amputee? Is that the correct term?
Yeah.
Okay. Tim is an amputee. When you asked me earlier about when we were doing the thing at the federal building, like, why would I trust you? I see a dude with a fucking hand like that. I want to talk to him more, right? So as I got to know Tim, you know him. You guys already know him by the way he talks. He's pretty open and honest about stuff. I had to know like about his hand. You know, it was interesting to me. I'd never really been personal friends with an amputee. So it took me a little while, but he finally, and his mentality towards it and his thought process was very much like the rest of us. We talked about in the first, like our sense of humor it should not be like for the public to hear. It's only like closed door shit because it is wild. But as I knew, or as I suspected, he turned it into a funny thing. And that always attracts me to guys, like when, you know, you can take that thing that somebody else may see as a deficit or whatever and turn it into funny. And this is fine. So I want to get to that day. You spent a lot of time over there and there's tons of stories we have, and you come back and we'll just do this over and over and over until we're in our 60s, dude.
Yeah.
But for today, I want to go over that story that took that fucking hand of yours. I know the story, I've been told it, but it fascinates me every time because it's gnarly, you know? So can we go to that day, that location, that year? Can you just start painting that picture? Here's your brush. Start painting, baby.
Yeah, let's go. So it's October 27th, 2005. It's so very, very hot.
Listen to Jocko.
Yeah.
He's doing his Jocko.
It's a very, very hot Iraq morning. I woke up at 4:30 that morning.
Yeah.
I probably did wake up at 4:30 that morning.
5,000 burpees before dinner. Yeah.
You know, so it was just a normal Iraq day, hot as balls.
Where are you at?
I was in Baghdad, Iraq.
Okay.
We were running convoy escort for the Department of Justice.
Okay.
So there's 5 prisons around Baghdad, including Abu Ghraib, though.
Okay.
Famous Abu Ghraib that we always hear about. Well, the Department of Justice was the prison guards at the moment. It was no longer military. It was escort out, or it was contract out to Department of Justice.
Okay.
They were doing it because probably because of everything that happened in Abu Ghraib that made it famous. So they probably took it
I don't know
from
what
the
you're
Army.
talking about.
Let's
skip over that.
We're going to skip over all
Yeah.
that. But Department of Justice was doing all of the prison guards at the moment. So we did the convoy escorts for the exchange. Basically, we would pick them up at the embassy in the morning. We'd drive around to all the prisons. Their vehicles would pull out. Their vehicles would pull out, and then new vehicles would pull in.
Yeah.
We just drive off.
What do you mean? Hold on. Sorry. What do you mean? I'm going to cut you off because I'm interested. What do you mean the exchange? Like for prisoners?
No, it was just for the guards.
Change of guard.
Okay. The guard shift. Yeah.
Okay.
So
I thought we were making deals.
No.
Whatever.
We can get to those.
Let's not go there. Yeah. All right. Sorry. Go ahead.
We can get to money exchange later.
Yeah. Go ahead. So you guys are running convoy security.
Yeah. So we're doing convoy security for Department of Justice at the time. It's a pretty dangerous mission because we typically have like 8 Department of Justice vehicles with us at any given moment, trucks filled with just their guards. But, they're in up-armored SUVs. You're driving through Baghdad in up-armored SUVs with 6 gun trucks. You might as well just paint a target on your back and say, pull a string, go boom, right on top of us.
Any vehicle, yeah.
Yeah, they just knew we were coming. So I remember waking up that morning just having this just terrible feeling. And I'm like, oh, my God, this is the day, because I knew that mission was terrible. And I've always had a weird intuition, and people think I'm crazy, but I typically end up being right. I mean, look where you're sitting now. I'm just going to say that.
Pick that hand up of yours.
Yeah. I was dead.
Something was on time.
I was dead right that time. Dude.
Right.
But I just remember everything being off and just having a bad feeling about that day. So I was in a bad mood as it was already. So as people were coming up, I'm already bitching and moaning, and they know me. I bitch and moan a lot. I was, it was one of my strengths back then was to do all the bitching that everybody else wouldn't and get in trouble for everybody else.
Right.
Something I'm pretty good at. But I just remember having this bad feeling and going out on the mission and just, just the longer the day went on, my stomach was just tightening up. And we're getting to the last prison. It's, not too far away from our fob. It's a couple miles south, maybe 10-minute drive, maybe. But we got to cross over this bridge, and we got blown up on this bridge back in, I want to say, May of 2005, and they closed that bridge down. We got hit by an energy force projectile back then, too. Luckily, we had no loss of life. It was one of 2 energy force projectiles that have no loss of life. The second one being mine at the moment. I don't know. There's probably been way more since, but
in your time.
Yeah, in our time. So they closed that bridge down because it created a bad choke point for us.
Terrible.
Yeah. and they just reopened the bridge. So when they come out, when our lieutenant comes up and he's, giving us sit rep and what we're doing that day and everything going on, he reads we're going over this bridge. I'm like, you got to be fucking kidding me. So of course now I'm losing my shit, and I'm bitching to our lieutenant all day, like, this bullshit. We got to go over this bridge. And as we're going over the bridge, I see a guy on the bridge looking awful suspicious. And I call him out as a spotter. And everybody's like, dude, you've been bitching all day. We do not believe it's a spotter.
Yeah.
So we go to the prison. We get to that final prison. And then we're trying to get our radios to work. None of our radios are working now.
Great.
So
Good
now we're
news.
like, yeah, great. The radios are out.
Good news.
We have these IED blockers in the back. It's probably what took the radios out. Those were those old Warlock systems. It probably didn't work. I don't know. Whatever. Some contractor got paid a lot for it. We'll cut that out.
Yeah.
So, we go back over the bridge, and, next thing I know, I'm waking up and, vehicle hanging out, kind of hanging off the bridge a little bit. They didn't have any guardrails because we took down all the guardrails. So it was just a chain link fence because they were hiding IEDs behind guardrails and blowing it up. That's how we lost our first set of troops. We lost 3 guys May 24th, 2005. Because an IED was placed behind the guardrail. So we went and took all the guardrails down. So now we're on the overpass, no guardrail, kind of hanging over the side. I see blood all over the window. I have no idea what's going on.
Why did we continue to let civilians
cross the bridge?
Yeah, fuck them.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand it's theirs, but it's ours now.
Yeah, I mean,
so you obviously in your
occupation versus war. That's
Yeah, but with a bridge, dude.
Yeah,
that's a bad spot to be. Every bridge is a bad spot to be in fucking Iraq.
Yeah, there's a tunnel. We got called the Tunnel of Love because they're like, you get blown up in the tunnel. It's like, no shit, you get blown up in a tunnel. I would blow everybody.
Pay
up
some
in the tunnel.
civilians to clear the bridge before we go. But then again, you're still giving up your position. So
Exactly.
It's like, what can you?
We weren't really operating under the best rules of engagements and operations.
Yeah.
I mean, we had curfews and everything. Like, oh, cool, you got a curfew. Guess what? They're going to come out and set bombs when you're not out at night.
Yeah, they're watching. They're like inmates.
Yeah.
They're watching you all day, and you're, so.
They got nowhere to go, and they're not playing on Instagram in 2005, and they're not.
And you're in our fucking house.
Yeah.
We don't let you hear it.
Exactly.
Infidels,
So it was very easy to target us.
Sure.
And
all of us.
That kind of it feeds into the paranoia. The longer you're there, the more bombs you get hit by. When you're not getting hit by bombs, you're like, damn it, I got to get hit by a bomb. I got to release that pressure valve.
Yeah, let's get it over with.
And I guess I was kind of getting to that state as it was, and then just something about that day, and then next thing you know, you're waking up on a bridge, and I remember seeing the window just covered in blood, and waking up like, what the fuck happened? And I look over, and our lieutenant West Knight, he's kind of laid out like up against his door. I can see he's bleeding. Our gunner's kind of freaking out. I don't really hear well, so I don't know what's going on. I can't really hear anything at the moment.
Are you riding shotgun?
No, I'm driving.
Okay, you're driving. Okay, all right, we're painting a picture. Okay.
Yeah, I'm driving. And
so you're foggy, people.
Yeah, I'm just kind of it's kind of accurate in the movies when they show people getting knocked out and stuff, how they kind of come back. And,
I agree.
And it's like you got that ringing in your ear and that fogginess and how everybody sounds off in the distance. I mean, I've been knocked out a lot. That's pretty accurate in movies.
Yeah. Jay, you've like hit a hammer on a steel table like an idiot with that ring.
Yes.
It's like amplified, or in the movies they have now, it's amplified by that, but then it just doesn't go away. And you're like, generally when I listen to Slipknot with earbuds in on the highest volume there is, it tends to fade. But when you get that real good big one, it's just like constant thing. But at first you think it's just going to go away, and then it doesn't at all.
Absolutely.
So that ringing thing that they're doing, and now in the movies it's better. It's like it's pretty. I mean, you're like, holy shit, is that mine or is that the movie? I can't tell which one's which.
Yeah, and then the fact that you live through that ringing every day the rest of your life.
Yeah,
I would have never expected that. Yeah, I was like, I mean, when you're talking injuries, it's like, okay, you see the hands, you're like, all right, the hands, and you don't even think like, oh, I got to hear ringing in my ear the rest of my life.
It probably drives you nuts, doesn't it?
Beyond belief.
Try to go to sleep or listen to anything.
I don't sleep anymore.
Yeah.
What's sleep?
Yeah. So your bell is rung like something you've never experienced. You're seeing your brothers that you are riding with. They fucking know you don't want to be on this mission today. You manifested destiny in a way, right? You were trying to keep it from manifesting, but you did it. You son of it. So
I've learned that that's true. The more I try to avoid destiny, the more I just smack it right in the face.
Yeah,
like,
dude.
You know, whether it's a fight with your wife, like I don't want to do that fight, and it just happens.
Yeah.
Or, you know, no matter what it is, whatever you try to avoid in life, it's going to punch you right in the face.
sure.
So you might as well just get punched in the face by it.
Yeah. One part of this that I clearly remember you telling me, you're gonna fill in the blanks here, but you got out of the vehicle at some point and you said that blood, like on your heartbeat, like with your pulse, which makes sense. I know everybody knows, when you're blah, 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 but Tim was telling me, Jay, that like, obviously you can see his hand, ladies and gentlemen, on his left hand, he's got a thumb left. And so when he was telling me that story, I remember like looking down at his hand and thinking, but how far was it? Like it was shooting, right?
So it was right next to the vehicle. It shoots at 10,000 feet per second.
Wow.
Your blood.
Oh, you're talking about my blood.
Yeah,
my blood was shooting at 10,000 feet per second. I was sniping people with it.
Yeah, it was
taking out the enemy with just blood shots from the hand. No. So finally I realized the blood on the window's mine. I kind of looked down to check my legs, and I literally looked right past my hands, just like ladies and gentlemen. You can't see it. But I looked down, I'm like, okay.
You can't feel
the
anything.
boy parts are still there. We're good, folks.
Right.
And then as I come back up, I see my hands, and then the pain kind of kicks in and shock kicks in.
Really?
Well, I know the way we do things is we don't enter a kill box. If there's somebody in there dying, they got to die. So I got to get out of the kill box, because they're going to let me bleed to death because of secondary IEDs, which did end up killing one of our medics, Doc Ryan Walker. Bless his soul.
Shout out, dude.
He died the same day. A buddy of mine, Sergeant Lopez, died. Well, Sergeant Lopez's vehicle was hit, took him out. Doc Walker got out, ran up on the vehicle, secondary, took him out. So,
are they remote detonate? I'm sorry.
Are
they remote detonate? So like,
there was different ways.
So it wasn't pressure plate all the time?
No, it wasn't pressure plates. Mine weren't pressure plates. What we were told was they were garage door openers.
Oh, okay.
So they were just setting them off with garage door openers.
Simple transact. I mean, boom.
Yeah, and they could arm them with that, and then they would use the sensor from the garage to set them off. So, like, we ended up hanging rubber mats out in front of our front vehicle to set them off early so they'd blow up in front of the vehicle.
Nice.
That worked for a little bit.
Nice.
Until they, anything we do, they just make changes.
Yeah, for sure.
So we did that, and then they just start blowing up vehicles in the middle of the convoy instead of the front of the convoy.
Right.
But getting back to my story.
You get out.
I get out because, now I know I got to get out. I got to save my own fucking life.
Yeah.
Nobody's coming to save me. Maybe they do. Maybe they don't.
Not a betting man.
Yeah. I'm only betting on me.
Yeah.
Because that's the only input I can have. So I only bet on inputs. I don't bet on other people's outcomes.
Yeah.
So I get out. Luckily, I wasn't wearing my belt. Believe it or not, we had a rule. We had to wear a belt. Mm-hmm. I think it was the dumbest thing ever. Guys got stuck in the vehicle and died because of it, so I refused to wear a belt. To this day, I kind of refuse to wear a belt. So,
yes, you did.
Law enforcement, if you catch me out there, it'd be nice.
Be tripping. Look at his hand.
Yeah. So, I get out and I start running to the medic, and I make it out of the kill box, and blood is just squirting 6 feet in the air. At every pump of my heart, it's just.
Now your heart's beating faster.
Oh yeah, and your heart's beating because I'm running, so I'm just losing blood with every second, and I finally lose enough blood, and then my buddy, Sergeant Parrish, who's kind of my mentor when I was in the military. Not kind of, he was my mentor, my unofficial mentor, who I looked up to in the way he held himself, the way he wanted to he wasn't afraid to be him, and I was never afraid to be me. So he's a guy I always looked up to. He grabbed me from behind and kind of pulled me to the ground, and they started first aid on me. I remember, him patting me up and down and being like, hey, man, I got to pat you down there. And I just remember copping a joke like, I know you just want to cop a few or something. Me being me, I'm never going to stop being me.
Again, dude, dark humor.
Yeah, dark humor for sure. And so they're like, all right, get the gurney. And I'm like, no. I walked into this country. I'm sure as shit walking out of it.
Right.
So I get up and I get to the vehicle, and we got about a 10-minute drive to go. And my soldiers, and they weren't my soldiers, but my guys. They're my guys. They were amazing. I remember Vasquez. Everybody thought this was a shitty soldier, dude. He had no motivation. I remember he goes, you know what makes me different from all of you? I was like, what's that, Vasquez? He goes, you all strive for excellence. I strive for mediocrity.
Wow.
And I'm like, I couldn't help but laugh. And he was an older guy for a private or whatever he was at the time. Like, I think he was in his 30s, and the rest of us, I was 19.
Yeah.
So that was an older guy back then. I'm 37 now. That was an older guy back then. And that day, like, I'm dying in that. I'm sitting in the back of this Humvee just bleeding to death. I'm just watching the blood leak out of my hands. Because it's not just my left hand. We talk about my left hand. My right hand was ripped in half. My right thumb was ripped all the way down to my elbow. I mean, it was just dangling. Like, I've had a lot of trauma to that. I'm not saying you were skipping over, but it's hard.
Poor
Most
right
people
hand,
don't even
dude.
know. Yeah.
Poor right hand is no love.
Yeah, it gets no love.
Yeah.
It was just tore to pieces. I've had more surgeries on my right hand than any part of my body. Just rebuilding that thing.
Yeah,
so.
I was going to bring it up to let you know. But.
Yeah, I know. Well, I knew you knew, but.
So you're getting the fuck out of there.
Yeah. So they get me, they get me bandaged up. We get in the Humvee and we're just gone. And Vasquez is just, I hear him shooting warning shots, and this dude is kicking me in the ribs and punching me in the head, and just to keep me alive.
Stay up,
We all know you stop if you go to sleep, you're dead.
Yeah,
you're dead. You're not coming back. You need to have that. And it was a pretty far drive. We couldn't get Kazivac out of there, so we had to drive it out. And it was a little bit of a drive. We got stopped at every freaking gate, of course. So, there's threats of shootouts at every gate trying to get in. And it was amazing. And all the drivers that day did a great job. The medic did a great job. Our leaders that took over, because, our platoon leader's down, our platoon sergeant and the other NCOs that were with us, everybody just took over and did an amazing job. And I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for those guys stepping up, and
for sure.
I don't have a big connection with any of those guys anymore, other than, the lieutenant. Me and he's not a lieutenant anymore. He's a lieutenant colonel now.
Yeah.
Or, Colonel West, we talk quite often, every few months we'll make sure we keep in contact and everything. But I've never really got the proper opportunity as an adult man with a family to thank those guys for making sure I'm here. So if my brother's out there listening to this anywhere, man, I thank you for me being here, and just know I love you, and I'm doing great, and you guys are going to fucking learn that today, so let's go.
For sure, yeah. Well, my buddy Joe Rogan called, and they will hear this because we are worldwide, baby, so they're going to be getting a hold of you. Look them up.
Yeah, no kidding.
Jokes, folks. Yeah. So do you fly, like, was this going to Germany time? Or had that passed? I remember at the beginning you get shot, you go to Germany.
Get blown up, get over to the cache. We get to the cache 86 in Baghdad. I think HBO did a special on this. I found it the other day on on Max or whatever it's called. No free ads. But they did. They did a special on the cache there where they were just working on IED victims. So you want to see what IED victims look like in the raw? Go watch that, and you'll get an idea of what I look like.
Good, dude.
It's rough, bro. It is rough. I've watched it a couple times, or not all the way through a couple times. I've checked parts of it out a couple times, and
right,
it's rough to watch. But so we're at the cache. We get to the cache, and I remember I'm getting out of the vehicle, and this E7's running up to me, and he's like, bring the gurney. And I'm like, fuck you. I walked into this country. I'm walking out of it. He's like, fuck you. Get on the gurney. And I was like, all right.
Yeah.
So that story ended there. He made me get on the gurney. I went back in. A lot of people's favorite part of the story is like when we're back there, they sent out these two hot blondes that are like nurses to come cut off your clothes and put in your catheter. Of course it's two hot blondes. It's nobody else. They couldn't have anybody else.
Yeah.
And I remember I'm laying on the table, and they're they got meds in me now. I'm probably loopy as shit, morphine all in me, and feeling good. And these two girls walk up, and they're like, all right, we're gonna cut your clothes off. And I'm like, hey, just so you know, I'm not wearing any underwear. And they're like, yeah, we know everybody says that. And I'm like, hey, just so you know, it's really cold in here.
Yeah.
And they go, we know everybody says that.
I'm prepping you.
And I'm like, all right, fair enough. So they put the catheter in. I'm sitting here, and I hear them over there talking to my buddy. They're like, I'm going to cut off your clothes. And I hear Wes Knight go, just so you know, I'm not wearing any underwear.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So the preemptive strike.
Yeah, and then shortly after, I'm out. And I passed out, and I don't really remember a lot of Baghdad. I woke up back in the room. I remember waking up, and Wes Knight had this freaking neck brace on, and he was so pissed off because I didn't have a neck brace on.
Yeah.
And my injuries were more significant than his, so he didn't really get rushed to check out.
Right.
So they just put a neck brace on him just to make sure. And I do remember waking up just hearing him bitch about how uncomfortable this neck brace was. And then that was really my last opportunity to say goodbye to all the guys.
Yeah.
And then they medevaced me from there. I got on a helicopter up to Balad, spent some time in Balad, and then they restitched me up in Balad. That was the first chance to look at my hands, or what was left of them. And I remember them taking Wes's bandage off first and just looking at it, and like he only ended up losing a thumb, thankfully, but his right hand's pretty mangled. And I mean, his face, well, it was already ugly.
It was ugly to begin with.
Wes.
Yeah.
No.
Sorry, Wes.
No, Wes is a good looking guy. He'll be okay.
Yeah.
So you got medevaced out.
Yeah.
So kind of pick up where you were when you got medevaced out. Where did you end up at once it was all said and done?
Yeah, so I went from Balad to Landstuhl, Germany. I spent 3 days in Landstuhl. Then I was medevac from Landstuhl to Walter Reed.
Okay. So you get back to Walter Reed. I mean, you probably got going through a ton of different emotions. I mean, messed up body parts, missing parts, things like that. You know, who's the first person to come see you, and then kind of walk us through how that looked?
Yeah, so when I got back to Walter Reed, my mom and dad were the first people that got there. They arrived there, I don't remember how long afterwards. I was so drugged up, I couldn't tell you what time even was back then. So my parents got there. A few hours later, my girlfriend at the time got there, who is now my wife, Tara.
Poor lady.
Yeah, right. She has it so hard being married to me. I feel bad for her.
Me too.
She likes to tell the story because when she came in, they were giving me an IV in my foot, and it hurt.
Good veins because your arms were
covered
and shit. Okay.
I mean, before the IV was in my groin, so, you know, we went from groin to foot, and I remember they just couldn't hit that vein. They just kept stabbing me in the foot, and I was getting pissed, and I didn't have any meds in me, and Tara said she could hear me screaming down the hall, and she comes in, and I remember when she walked in, I kicked everybody out, and I just remembered noticing she permed her hair.
You go, it's cold in here.
Yeah,
I'm not wearing any underwear.
Baby, just so you know, it's cold in here. I'm not wearing any underwear, and I
already heard this one, motherfucker.
Yeah, there's a big piece of rubber sticking out of my
you know
what. So don't try to get too sexy with me. But and I smelled like crap, so who knows the last time I'd been clean.
Yeah.
So yeah, she came, and I remember she got a perm, and I noticed her hair first. It just stood out. I'm like, oh, you got your hair done, and she was just blown away. Like that was the first thing I noticed.
No shit.
Yeah.
If Alicia doesn't tell me she's going to get her hair done, I have to make like a mental note. Like, your hair looks great.
Yeah.
So, all right, Tara gets there. What was recovery like? Like, how do you do occupational therapy and physical therapy? You told me one time about phantom pain. I had or phantom feelings or pain.
Yeah, phantom pain.
I had never heard of that phenomenon, if you will, until you talked about it. But like, if you're doing physical therapy, if I break my fingers and I'm doing physical therapy, I can see them and move them and work them out, quote unquote. If you don't have them, like how does that even work?
So mainly my occupational therapy was for the right hand to get the fingers moving.
Okay.
We did do some occupational therapy, like some stretching on the thumb, make sure the thumb was usable.
Yeah.
I only wanted to play hockey.
Yeah.
I looked at my medical records today, just happened to come across them today, and I looked back at it was June 2006, and it said, patient wants to recover to play hockey again. And that was my only thing, was being able to get the grip strength back in my right hand, to be able to grab a stick, figure out the way prosthetic's going to work, and let's get this show on the road, because I got to compete. I want to compete in something, because that was just always my drive. I like being competitive, but I also like being part of a team. So
and this isn't going to be
military work hand in hand.
Right. This isn't going to be the end of my shit.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Missing some fingers, but like that's not. We're not going down that road.
Yeah. Now it's even cooler, because now I'm at a disadvantage right off the bat.
Yeah.
And I actually enjoy that.
Yeah.
Coming from the kind of mindset I had to get to the person I am,
of course,
kind of have to be crazy a little
course.
bit.
Yeah.
and you kind of like that being disadvantaged.
Yeah. It's that struggle that we come from back in North County.
Exactly.
You know, hungry.
And I loved the idea of like coming back and playing hockey and being like, yeah, but I did it with a prosthetic hand.
Right,
like,
right.
What did you do?
He's got better skates than me. It's like, and I'm missing a hand, bitch.
Yeah.
What's up now, you know?
And guys are trying to fight me and they're like, drop the gloves, and I do, and they're like, shit, he's missing his hand. I can't fight him.
Don't worry about that, bro.
This happened last time I got into a hockey fight.
Yeah.
Last guy bit it off. I'm ready to go.
I think he told my kids you were gator hunting or something, and a gator got your hand or something. My kids, when he met my kids, and I told my kids, they had never seen anything like that. So I told them, I'm like, hey, man, listen, this is what happened, you know, and they were trying to be as respectful as possible. But I was watching them, so they'd look him in the eye and then like kind of glance down. I'm like, let's get it out of the way, man. And I kind of turned it over to Tim, and he was talking to him, and like they wanted to touch it, you know, like his hand, his lack of hand. So they were kind of touching it, and he was like, this is what it is, you know. And now when they see, it's not even a thing, but for little kids, they don't really get to see shit like that too often. So they were so interested, and when he left that time, when he first met all my kids, they were like, I feel really bad for him. I'm like, don't. He doesn't fucking feel bad for himself. He doesn't want you to feel bad for him. Nope. That's not the mentality you have to keep going and to become as successful as he is and raising all his kids and dogs and wife and house and all the shit that he does. That mentality doesn't work. That thing about victim, that's not going to fly, you know, and he's taken that, and there's this sense of pride knowing a guy like that I'm looking at Jason talking about you. There's a sense of pride knowing you that each individual doesn't know how they'd handle that, right? Like I can't say I'd be playing. I don't know. I can't say, but to watch him like curl kettlebells and shit, it's like, you're not going to be able to do that. He's like, what, bitch? And so he's taken this thing that could put some people down, and he's turned it into like almost this weird mental edge, because I have to fight harder than you now. I have to do everything harder than everybody. And then I'm going to enjoy watching you suffer about it, you know?
Yeah. And I'm fat and overweight, and it shocks people. I mean, I play hockey, volleyball, it doesn't matter. Like if there's a sport going to go down and people ask me to play, I'm it.
Yeah.
Like I like the idea of being competitive. Look, my whole body's broken. I've broke just about every piece of my body at some point in time, and all of it hurts all the time. But I don't know. I just like being competitive. Like people like, hey, you want to wrestle? Yeah, I'll wrestle. Want to box? Sure, let's box. Like I don't really care. I don't care if I win or lose. I just like being in it. And I already know I got a mental advantage because I'm only in it to be in it. That's my only that's my motivation, is just to be part of it. Like, you know, I'm not out here trying to play hockey to win Stanley Cups and get paid. I'm just there to play.
Yeah.
So were you always this mentally strong after the accident, or was there any obstacles you had to overcome at all with the mental piece?
Oh, I don't think anybody's ever always mentally strong, and I'd be the first to admit it. I would say I've been 99% mental strong, but even 99% mentally strong over 18 years.
Right. Fractions down a little bit.
It leads to a couple months of, if you look at that, you know, it leads to a couple months of, you know, mental weakness at point in times, whether it's hours at a given time, days, weeks. Yeah, I've been mentally weak. I've been mentally weak, you know, within the last few months.
Right.
Like I've had my ups and downs, and I always have them. The problem is, you know, kind of it's just like sobriety or any other like thing you're recovering with or anything you're going through, is it's always going to be challenged. Whether it's a strength or a weakness, it's going to be challenged. Mm-hmm. If you have a strength, you're going to get challenged in that strength, or else you don't have a strength because nobody else is doing it because you don't have a challenger. Or your body's not doing it. Like your body will challenge itself. Like, you think you're mentally strong, cool. Your mind will play tricks on you and make you think you're not at given times. It'll make you believe people that you love don't care about you. It'll make you do things like that. So, you know, I've definitely had my weak moments, but
how do you pull yourself out of those moments back to the strength that you and the motivation that you have to do the things that you really want to do and that you're driven to do? Do you get help with that? Is there a way that you self-motivate? Kind of walk us through that.
It's a concoction of everything, I think. You know, like I said, I like playing sports. I like being athletic. That gives me some mental strength there. having that challenge and that drive that, that you either win, lose or learn. Win, lose, or learn. That's it. When you play sports, it's the way I look at everything, and I like to learn a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I've learned a lot about myself over my life because I've done very little winning at anything in life, and that's a fact,
Well, listen, there are a lot of people that live in places that they're far out. Bunch of awesome country dudes that are going through stuff. They've lost limbs or gotten hurt. They might not have the resources. Even the VA is unattainable. Is that the right way to say it? Unattainable. Sorry, unattainable for some people just to get to and maybe go to a support group, or like social media might be the only thing they have. So.
And that's dangerous.
Well, right.
If that's the only thing you have, that's very dangerous.
Well, we're talking to people who might not have what you had and might not have what I had and stuff. When you're recovering from an injury like that, I can talk about drug addiction and I can talk about but when you're recovering, let's leave our listeners with, like, give us, for me with drug addiction, my thing is people, places, and things. And I swear by it, and I'll always swear by it. Like that changed my life, and it's the reason I'm here. Do you have a thing, like a bullet point that no matter who you talk to, no matter how many times you tell this story, no matter how many questions you get asked, you can fucking, look, man, if you need a starting point, boom.
Yeah, I don't really say if you need a starting point. That's a great way to look at it. I've never really looked at it. Because starting point's just the first step. It don't matter what it is. You just got to jump.
Dude.
That's the hardest step. We've talked about it. That first step is always the hardest step. It's just taking that first step. And, similar, like when you join the military, I very few people just walk in like, here we go, I'm joining the military. Like, no, they had to get a little bit froggy and they had to jump. They had to take that first step. And when you're on that road to recovery of addiction or whatever it is, mental health issues or physical issues, it's about finding the right group of people around you.
Sure.
That is very key. That's the first thing I always say is weed out the trash and get the good people around you. And you might be shocked at who the trash is and who the good people are.
Right.
But if you get out of your like vapid, self-absorbed ways and look at what's important in life and look at what's real and what you can touch and think about what's important, you'll find out who's important in your life real quick.
But you do have to look for it. You can't sit and
it's not just sitting there.
It doesn't come to your mailbox.
It does not come to you. And then you got to get out. You have to get out. You got to push yourself out. Nature. I talk about nature all the time, man.
It's the shit.
Who the hell gets out in nature all the time? Not a lot of people.
Yeah.
I do all the time. I take my dog down to the river. We go out in real nature. I'm not talking about your grass, your front yard. That's not nature, people.
Yeah.
Like,
get lost.
Go out where your cell phone doesn't work and there's not grass that's imported from Africa and Asia, and it's actually wild stuff that grows because nobody touched it.
Yeah.
Go visit those places and realize what this place is.
Right. A connection.
And it can cleanse your soul, man. It can cleanse your mind. It can cleanse your body. It can cleanse your soul. So I get out in nature as much as I can. That's number one. I love camping. I love, like you said, I love my dog, so I take my dog down to the river all the time. He loves to swim.
Yeah.
So it's get those important people and then, go to those important places, find that happy place of yours that you can go to, that you can escape when you need to. People, places, and things works for more than just drug addiction, bro. Exactly. It's a staple, man. It's important. And then things, hockey. That's my mental health drug. That's when I'm playing hockey. It's the locker room. The locker room is like this. It's open forum. We're having conversations. We're only self-censoring. Nobody else is telling us what we have to say and what we can say. So we're always having a good time. And you create that brotherhood. So then now you got new people. So there's more people I got in my life and more people I can trust. And, and that's that thing. So I might have to steal that people, places, and thing. Have it. Everybody needs it, man. So listen, we all know that it's not just as easy as moving out of town.
You can't just get up and always move houses and find new friends, but you can get up and take a step in that direction and find out what your people, places, and things is. It might not be hockey. It might not be running, but it's out there, man. But again, it's not just going to come to the mailbox.
You got to take that first step.
Yeah.
You got to move. You got to move. Movement kills procrastination. All
That's
that
what I'm
shit.
hearing. That's the theme I'm hearing is get up and move.
You've got to just get, and then start somewhere, and you'll end up somewhere. You know,
Right.
make good positive choices.
That grind might be what you love. You might think that you're going out like trying to work on your mental health and like, oh, I need to find this, and this leads to an end game.
Yeah.
That first step is the end game. That
Yeah.
might, whether it picking up a sport, picking up a hobby, hey, I'm going to start archery. I'm going to start shooting. I'm going to throw axes. I'm going to throw darts. I'm going to play a sport. I'm going to do yoga. I'm going to do whatever it is.
Yeah.
That's how I want to work on my mental health. I think that'll make me happy. Well, you might find out like in the beginning, that grind, you're like, oh my God, I can't do this. And then 2, 3, 4 months in, you're grinding it out and you're like, man, I love this grind.
Yeah, it's a path, dude.
I love the grind. Forget wherever it's going. I'm completely okay where it's at. Cause I don't think about hockey and like, oh, I want to win championships down the road and do this. I'm like, dude, I just want to play the next game. Where's it at? Like, where are we playing?
Yeah.
Well,
listen, man, this has been great. I know that we can go for hours, and I think we will. Thanks so much again for coming in. Your story, I might not seem like it now, but it's going to help some people, and people are going to get shit out of it, man. And we're so happy to have you, Jason. Thank you for everything you do for the podcast. You make this whole thing happen. I'm just a shit talking weirdo. So thank you for everything. Ladies and gentlemen, Tim Taylor, we will talk to you soon. Find us on Spotify, Facebook. Come back and see us, man. We're going to keep doing good things.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, gentlemen. I really appreciate you giving me the time and the audience to share my story with, and couldn't think of a better person to share it with than you, Dom, and Jason. It was wonderful meeting you, and thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
People, places, and things. Get up and move.
We're going to go ahead and sign off of the Dog Tag Podcast at the St. Charles County Veterans Museum. The Dog Tag is brought to you by the St. Charles County Veterans Museum. The museum is a 501c3 nonprofit business. Do you like our podcast? With your support, we'll continue to bring you great programming. If you'd like to donate, go to sccvetsmuseum.org and click on Donate.